Good day and warm welcome to this meditation experience. Lovely that you can join. Today, we're going to explore what might be one of the most key objectives of a spiritual study is whether we say integrity or self-mastery or self-sovereignty, personal dignity, how to restore that and constantly stabilize there. And what I love about a robust spiritual practice is that it's designed, it converts, it integrates well into day-to-day life. So often we'll hear souls in a retreat experience where they're a little bit away from their day-to-day life, have a wonderful weekend or whatever the length of the retreat. And at the end, they start to get a bit of a frightened look in their eyes and say, oh my goodness, I have to go back to the real world. And that's always a sign that the concept of integration hasn't quite happened, as if spirituality is separate from the real world, whereas if it's a really robust practice, it's designed for the real world. It's very relevant. And what does real world look like when souls say that? They're talking about a world that's fraught with challenges and difficulties and problems and issues and situations. And so I need a practice that can navigate through that, keeping that integrity, personal dignity, self-mastery intact, that sense of self, that very valuable sense of self intact. That's called spiritual power, an inner power. Now, I deal a lot with athletes, and I always find it fascinating. They get almost this look in their eyes, on their face, when they're sort of mustering their will, harnessing their inner will power to overcome, to lift a heavier weight or do more reps or have better alignment, better quality execution, to overcome what they see as their ceiling, if you will. It's called a personal best, of course, and they're always trying to improve that personal best. They feel they've gotten to their highest potential, but then they're going to try and raise the bar. That is what we're trying to do every day in our day-to-day life, is show up as our best. And that's going to require inner power. Things will come up. What is a challenge? That fascinates me, because what seems like a challenge to one person is not a challenge to another person. So it's not something necessarily outside that's determining how I feel about what's going on outside. It turns out it's stuff inside. And that means I have to go into my inner world and check my own inventory, my stock of spiritual resources and powers. So let's take a walk on the inside and see what's going on. Sitting comfortably and yet powerfully. And what does that mean? There's no tension in the body, no violence to the body, but the body is properly aligned. When the body is properly aligned, it is free of pain and tension. So I check to see if I'm even sitting the body properly, properly aligned. I'll be engaged, alert, and yet comfortable. With that understanding at the physical level, that balance, I come inside into my own inner world. And ironically, awareness of the body starts to fade into the background, and awareness of my inner world, thoughts, feelings, attitudes, capacities. I become acutely aware of that. My inner world can sometimes appear a tangled mess, a jumble of thoughts and feelings. But the closer I can move towards the center of my inner world, the less complicated and tangled it will feel, the more simple and powerful I become. My mind will start to slow down and naturally focus without any violence. I imagine a single point like a star at the very center of my inner world. This is my destination. And in the vehicle of my mind, I travel closer and closer to that tiny spark, that tiny star, feeling all of the complications and clutter melting, falling away, and my inner world feeling more and more simple, even clear. That center point, of course, is pure me, free of all roles, responsibilities, even relationships, free of having to maintain some kind of image, just pure me. I, a living being, I, the soul, arriving at that center point, my most calm state of being. My mind is not pulled anywhere if I've successfully arrived. Not imagined, but real. It turns out this is the real world. When I am real, my real or authentic self, I, the soul, this is my most powerful, most aligned state of being, which allows me full access, easy access to my highest potential. That state of deep peace, where it feels like nothing can disturb me. Very high state of well-being. And the more time I can spend at the center point, and the more powerful that stage becomes. This stage is my main weapon, not in a violent way, but in a protective and benevolent way. My main weapon in responding with dignity to the outer world. Not even just responding, but actually growing in the face of any challenge. taking a moment to fully stabilize in the feeling of that center point. Just I, the soul, a tiny spark of powerful spiritual energy, stable in my natural or real nature of peace. That's all. Holding that experience is building strength. While I'm in that experience, I bring onto the screen of my mind a current or past situation that I find is challenging me, keeping me even stuck in a particular emotion or thought. From that very peaceful seat, as if I'm in a movie theater, bringing that scene onto the screen of my mind, observing it in a very calm place, deep inside, starting to discover peace is not just a virtue, it is a power. The vibrations of peace reaching that situation, creating clarity in my mind, but also transforming that situation from a challenge into an opportunity. Right before my mind's eye, like magic. Something I may have perceived as insurmountable becomes a wonder, recognizing it's perfectly tailored to deepen my own capacities as a spiritual being. Rather than rejecting or fearing or avoiding that scene, I begin to embrace and appreciate its existence. It is going to bring out the best in me, not the worst. But I need to intentionally build strength through spending as much time as possible centered, the point of awareness, experiencing that deep peace that comes when I remember I am a soul here deep inside. Om Shanti.